Hi,
Martin,
Mark.
hello. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Beautiful, beautiful. We've got a couple of minutes before the start of the call. You may be the only person. This is actually our first one because we only launched the community formally last week and or earlier this week actually, and we've been doing a series of events in the lead up to it. But yeah, this is the first time that we've run the clinic, so we've got a whole bunch of people who have joined the community, but you're the only one who's written to me to say you're attending. So it might just be a one-to-one.
Okay, well that's fine. I mean, I don't know whether I'm your sort of target demographic, Mark, because I don't know. I suppose in a way I'm sort of partly winding down. I live out in Spain, and I sort of do contracts which interest me, if you like. But I've seen a lot of your postings which are really interesting. So I thought, well, yeah, I'll sign up for these clinics and just see what comes out of it. And certainly, I don't feel that my either my LinkedIn profile or my CV is as good as it could be. They're both, I think, adequate, but no more than that. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see what comes out of these meetings.
Great. Well, I'm sure we can add some value to you. Here's Zen from our team, who's the mastermind behind putting together the Pulse Vault that we've just launched. So yeah, I'm sure she'll be listening in avidly. So just to address what you said, Martin, I'm sure we can give you lots of nuggets to help you. We've learned a lot across the years about what good looks like from a kind of contractor marketing perspective, and that's why that was a motivation behind like launching Pulse. Here's Nikki from our team joining us now as well, I think. So yeah, it's three to one man market here, Martin. Maybe overwhelmed.
All right, Martin, we won't pick on you.
No, it's okay, no worries.
So yeah, and we're also recording the clinics, Martin, so we can share with anybody. So if there's anything that you wouldn't be comfortable sharing, please do let us know, and we won't record that bit. But hopefully it'll all be in the generic anyway, so it won't matter too much. So yeah, and I think the fact that I'm presuming by what you said in terms of Spain and winding down that you're more, sort of towards the end of your career and you're a little bit more selective about the roles that you might take or perhaps fractional or what have you. But I think everything that we're going to talk about is going to be equally applicable to you. So hopefully we'll add a little bit of value. So I know you kindly sent me some questions in, which I don't have in front of me now, but maybe Zen can get at those, or maybe I can.
I mean, it's a fairly quick question, Mark. I'm happy to repeat it.
Yeah, go for it, please,
Martin. In my LinkedIn profile, I include my qualifications. So that's an MSc, and primarily the MSc, and also fellow of the British Computer Society. When LinkedIn offered this verification process, I went through that, and it said, oh, your name on your profile doesn't match your passport, because obviously I don't have my qualifications in the passport. So really the question is it of any value putting qualifications in the profile name? Is it any value to be verified? And which of the two is more important?
Okay, that is a really good question. I think what it would come down to, Martin, is target market. Okay, so what I mean by that is who, in the way that you are approaching the market, who is your LinkedIn profile for, and what would they value? Okay, so let me dive into that in a little bit more detail. So predominantly in the contracting space, you've really got two audiences as a contractor selling services. Your first audience is the intermediaries. So the recruitment agencies, the consultancies who will win or get a sniff of client work. And they're one audience that you need to kind of woo, impress, entice with your LinkedIn profile, who may go proactively looking for you, or through a job application might check you out on LinkedIn. And then the second audience is the ultimate kind of end client, I suppose, the ultimate recipient of the work, the client that you're doing the work for, right? So you'll be familiar with the intermediary thing and the end client thing. So taking each one of those in turn, okay. Presumably, part of the way that you win work today is through job applications, as well as perhaps networking and other such routes to market. So just pause and tell me, Martin, how you would typically go about finding new work right now. Is it job applications? Is it networking? How do you typically get your next assignment?
Both really. I mean, I get a feed from LinkedIn every day for remote business analyst contracts, and if I see something that sounds interesting, then I'll apply for that. But equally so, I've approached my network directly and said, has anybody heard anybody of any companies that are recruiting at the moment? And I've had a few interviews like that. It's a lot less systematic than, if you like, my day-to-day work. In my day-to-day work as a business analyst, I think I'm very methodical, very systematic. When it comes to looking for jobs, it's a bit more ad hoc. So yeah, I review the daily feed from LinkedIn. I keep a lookout on postings from my network and their network's network, as it were. But it's a bit ad hoc, let's put it that way.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, you've basically got straight to the answer, and you self-recognize, which is great, that the part of the problem here is that ad hoc nature versus the methodical nature of your kind of day job. So the best contractors, in my opinion, who are regularly in work or always on assignment when they want to be, take the acquisition of new assignments as seriously as they do execution of the assignments, right? So turning that kind of ad hoc piece into a methodical piece is like the way forward ultimately. And there's lots of different tactics that you could potentially use to get there. I want to go back to your original question though about the job title and the verification piece. Bring it back to that. So I asked you about your current routes to market, and you basically said you apply for some jobs and you leverage your network. There's lots of nuance within that, but let's just focus on those two things. So when you're applying for a job, if you think about the funnel and the stages that your job application would go through, so whether it's via a direct contract with an intermediary like a recruiter, or via, say, a job board, ultimately your CV is landing on that recruiter's desk through a job board or through direct contact, and largely bypassing your LinkedIn profile. They're not really looking at your LinkedIn profile. All they're seeing about you is your CV and the breakdown of your skills and experience, and they're making a determination, or they're dependent upon the technology they've got within their business. Their ATS system, that's applicant tracking system, is making some kind of automated determination around whether or not you are a suitable match for the role that they've got advertised. Okay, so they're basically not considering your LinkedIn profile in that part of the journey, as they are kind of whittling down the field, so to speak, of the people that they might want to put forward to the client. So in that scenario, the name on your profile and the verification piece on your profile is probably largely unimportant. Some recruiters, some intermediaries may go check you out on LinkedIn, and if they notice you happen to be verified, that is a tiny little additional piece of evidence that might make the difference, but I feel that would be unlikely. I think so. Hopefully that makes sense. Route number 2 that you mentioned around direct contact and networking. If you are reaching out to people via LinkedIn, so through LinkedIn messaging, and you're positioning on LinkedIn, what I would ask you to consider is, what would they find important? So put yourself in their shoes. Would they think the letters after your name are the thing that is most important and the thing that verifies to them that Martin can do the job, or is it some other aspect of your profile? And I would believe that it's probably other aspects of your profile rather than the letters after your name that would make the difference. I hire a lot of contractors. I have hired a lot of contractors over the years, and like, this is just me, and I'm sure lots of people have other different opinions, but the letters after the name don't really bother me. The key question I'm asking myself are, can this person do the job? Right, and what are the data points that I need to see that the person can do the job? Have they got tenure? Have they been around multiple clients in the space that I'm interested in, evidencing that they can do the work? So, for example, if you're in the banking sector, have they been at HSBC, Barclays, NatWest, and demonstrating to me that like they're a safe pair of hands and can do the job, rather than the letters after their name? Does that make sense, Martin?
Yeah, it does actually, Mark, because I think it's the letters after my name. There's such an emotional attachment to them because I know how hard I work to get them. So therefore, because they're incredibly important to me, I almost without thinking, I assume they might be important to somebody else. But as soon as when you put it the way you have just done, I think probably it is more sensible for me to take those out, verify my LinkedIn account, because just to get that small additional bonus, and leave my qualifications in the profile. I think, yeah, I needed to talk through with somebody that actually it's an emotional attachment rather than a professional attachment. So actually that's really helpful. I don't know whether anybody else has got questions, but one of the difficulties that I do have when looking at contracts is that I am a complete generalist. And by that, I mean, I've never specialized in any industry. I've never specialized in any application. I've never specialized in really anything. And I find more and more that contracts are, I mean, pretty much gold. The job descriptions are so gold plated. I mean, we'll say you need 5 years experience of the particular industry sector. You need 5 years experience of a particular application within that industry sector. And even for a business analyst, you might need advanced SQL. Is this just the way the market is going and I sort of pretty much have to suck it up?
I suspect you do yourself a disservice. I suspect you do have specialisms. You don't get the sort of career that you've had without having specialisms. It's probably just about how you pull them out and position them. Okay, so we can talk through that. In terms of the market demand, which is kind of the other element of your question, I think the market goes in cycles. You know this. You've seen it many times, right? Right now we are at somewhere on the back uptick of the demand has troughed and is now starting to sort of turn that corner. We can see that in our own data and anecdotally from what we observe in the market, and talking through anecdotally with other connections in the market. We do at this moment in time, August 2024, we do see the green shoots. I think when we've got an excellent slide in one of our presentations that we do around the supply and demand troughs and positioning yourself, so you're basically completely insulated from those supply and demand peaks. Because if you just ride the wave of the supply and demand peaks, you'll always end up, when the demand is lower, you'll always end up kind of finding it very hard to land new assignments. But if you dip under the kind of the base level demand and position yourself, so you'll always be able to get after the niche roles. That's basically the place to be. So it's about how you position yourself and how you go about acquiring those roles. And there's two things I would say to you. One is really find your niche, and you might have multiple niches, and that's okay. But really, so you have worked in different industries, you have worked in on different projects. Yeah, pick out the ones that you have either enjoyed the best, had the best feedback at, feel like you would like to do again, feel that you've added the most value at. Pick out those niches and basically position yourself as the guy who can do that thing. That would be my take on it. Not knowing too much about your background, Martin, but I'm sure you have got those things in your experience. And the second thing I would do is I would basically make myself Mr. That. So whatever that is, right? I would make myself Mr. That, the guy who is known for that thing. So on my LinkedIn profile, in the first sentence of the profile section of my CV, in the engagement that I do on LinkedIn, in the comments that I make on LinkedIn, in perhaps some of the posts that I might put on LinkedIn, everything that my public persona is screams about I am Mr. That. So I position myself as Mr. I help contractors, and that's why you're here today, basically, right? So what do you do? What is your unique category of one? What is your unique positioning? Who are you? What is your elevator pitch? What is your unique value proposition? You know, hi, I'm Martin, and I X. What is X?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can run something straight by you, which is what the feedback I most commonly get from clients, and that is I ask the questions that nobody else asks. Usually because I am a generalist, I don't know what the perceived wisdom is in a particular industry, so therefore I don't make assumptions, and I ask questions which somebody who's steeped in that industry wouldn't ask, because they make the assumption as to what the answer was. And some of those questions, I'll admit, are really naive, but there are enough of them which actually hit the mark to add value. Whether that's a sufficient USP, I'm not sure, but certainly that's I can point to 3 or 4 end clients at reasonably senior levels who've said, you know, that's what we value from you, Martin. You ask the questions that nobody else asks.
Well, if 3 or 4 clients have said it, I would suggest it probably is a sufficient USP. So you've got to use your authentic language and something that aligns with who you are as a person. And you might have a little play with AI to help you come up with synonyms or words around, how you would position that in a nice succinct little statement. But maybe you're the assumption buster. Maybe you're the the questions that nobody else will ask, man. Whatever it might be. That it's got to be congruent with your personality and your values and all the rest of it. But if you can kind of hit the nail on the head there, that elevator pitch, the business analysis that asks the question nobody else will, sort of thing, then that's a nice position to hold. And then everything that you do and say, it comes across that's it. And what that will do is it will polarize people. Because people who don't want that won't hire you, but people who really want that will, you'll be top of the queue.
Yeah, and that's quite important, because if people don't understand that about me from the outset, then 2 or 3 weeks into the contract, there's an almighty great clash, and we sort of, both the client and I, it doesn't happen very often. I can usually work around it, but there's quite often occasionally there have been clashes when I haven't positioned myself quite as accurately as I might have done during the interview, and the client hasn't sort of probed sufficiently, and there's a bit of a mismatch there. Okay, no, that's really helpful again, Mark. I'm getting a lot out of this. I don't know whether anybody else
we did have another
there,
guest, Martin, but they dropped off. Maybe they didn't find it relevant. But we've still got a little bit more time left. So any more questions? Feel free to ask.
I've got one more question, which I think I might have posed to you in in a chat ages and ages ago now. Is there any point in me as a resident of Spain, tax resident of Spain, applying for UK remote contracts, which are, quotes, inside IR35? Because from a location point of view, I'm only an hour ahead. There's the time zone isn't a problem. I would even be happy at my own expense, sort of dropping into the UK for once a month or once a quarter for face-to-face meetings, particularly if the contract was quite lucrative and it was a long-term thing. But the fact is, as a resident and tax resident in Spain, HMRC has absolutely nothing to do with me at all. And is it worth my trying to convince people that actually, despite what they say that this contract is inside IR35, actually, if you were to recruit me on a remote basis, me in Spain, IR35 simply doesn't apply?
I'm going to answer this question in two parts. One, I'm not going to answer because I'm not sufficiently knowledgeable in the nuance of the international situation to answer it. I've got an assumed answer, but I don't want to just spout my mouth off and give you the wrong advice. So what I'm going to do, we partner with a company called Kingsbridge, who provide us with all of our IR35 tooling and insurance. And I will invite one of my colleagues from Kingsbridge to answer that specific question, because I believe there's quite a few other people in your set of circumstances, and I think they would find that useful as well. So I'm going to defer that question to
That's
one of
fine.
my colleagues from Kingsbridge, and we'll get back to you on that and publish it in the community. The second part, though, I do feel like I can answer, which is around the kind of convincing or arguing with the client around IR35 determination. And again, this is just my opinion rather than anything else, but I would say that's a big fat no, basically. So if a client has gone to the trouble of status determining something, or they have a policy, official or otherwise, that says we don't engage with personal service companies, then you are probably going to hurt your chances of landing that engagement by annoying, alienating, arguing the toss up front. Like if they've advertised it as inside IR35, you coming along later to argue the toss over it is probably going to be unwelcome. It would certainly be if we had an inside IR35 role and have a number of candidates to choose from, and one of them's giving me grief. That probably only goes in one direction, honestly. It's just me being candid. So I would avoid that. If it's over that it's inside IR35, accept it and accept what comes with that, and apply for it or not apply for it. I think if there's ambiguity and it's not said, it's not known, and it's perhaps an opportunity you've developed through your network rather than a job ad with a status upfront status determination, I think I would chance my arm and ask the question rather than challenge. I would ask, have you considered this? I'm a tax resident elsewhere. Would that cause you any hassle? I don't want to cause you any additional work, but I think you've got to present the potential solution on a plate to them. I think that would be my position on that. First part, we'll get an official, proper tax expert answer. Second part is, in this supply demand environment, is it wise to rock the boat if you already know what the answer is?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's good advice, really. Again, I'm really buttering you up here, aren't I? It's regardless of what the legal situation is, it's going to be a hassle. It's going to be confusing. So it's probably sensible for me, if there's a contract that's advertised which is inside IR35, I'll just skip it regardless, because the thing is that the contrast with Spain is so ridiculous that here, if I say I'm self-employed, I'm self-employed. and that's
Yeah.
it. Nobody will ever question it at all. You know, it's you know, the concept of something like IR35 simply doesn't exist. Also, limited companies for one person, you know, individuals don't exist either. So it's just me, and that works in Spain. But yeah, no, it's again, I think it's one of those things that if once I talk it through with somebody, and see the logic of it, actually, you know, what's the point? There's going to be 20, 30, 100 people who are happy to work inside IR35, live in the UK. Why hit my head against a brick wall?
Yeah, I think that's a pragmatic position to take.
Yeah.
Okay, Martin. Well, I really appreciate your questions for our first clinic. I think they've been really interesting, and I hope others will find the answers useful as well. And hopefully, yeah, we've helped.
Absolutely, Mark. It's it's been a remarkably useful 30 minutes or 24 minutes. So yeah, thank you very much. I will certainly join future meetings, and yeah, thank you very much, all of you, for your time and listening. And yeah, I've definitely found it useful, and I don't know whether you want some sort of recommendation posted anywhere in LinkedIn to sort of get people up to these, or but yeah,
Zen
I will certainly.
Zen's our LinkedIn guru, so she'll be after you for all of that stuff, no doubt. But yeah, we will. Yeah, well, as I say, we record the sessions, we make them available to the rest of the community. And what we're looking to do over time is build up lots and lots and lots of questions and answers, so that, you know, when people have those same repeat questions, we've got a library of ready to go help and recommendation for them. So yeah, this is a great way to start us off. Thank you, Martin.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Mark, thank you, Xenia, thank you, Nikki. Yeah, it's a good session, and yeah, any sort of follow-up questions for me, feel free, and I'll certainly respond without any delay at all.
Amazing. Thanks for your time, Martin. Have a lovely weekend.
Okay.
Enjoy
Thanks,
Spain.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.